Snow whipped through the quiet streets of Asheville, Vermont that night, coating every roof in ghostly white. From a small wooden house near the edge of the town came a crash, the sound of a chair hitting the floor, followed by a woman's furious scream. "You hid the money again, didn't you?" Inside, poker chips scattered across the table like spilled teeth. Linda Hayes, red-eyed and trembling from whiskey, grabbed the little girl by the wrist and shook her hard. 9-year-old Emma Grace Whitaker cried out, clutching a small music box shaped like a snowflake, the only thing left from her mother. "I didn't take it, Aunt Linda," she whimpered, her breath fogging in the freezing air. But Linda's rage flared hotter. "Liar. You think I can't tell. That's $50 I needed for the game." She slapped the girl across the face, the blow sharp enough to make the music box drop. It hit the wooden floor and began to play its broken tune, faint and trembling under the roar of the storm. "Get out," Linda shrieked. "Take your cursed toy and freeze for all I care." She shoved Emma toward the door, yanked it open and hurled her outside into the blinding snow. The door slammed. Emma stumbled, fell to her knees, her cheeks stinging, her small hands bleeding where the glass lid had cracked. The melody kept playing a fragile lullaby in the cold. Her boots sank deeper into the drift as she turned back, eyes searching the dark windows that no longer held any warmth. Before we go any further, take a breath with me. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from tonight? If your heart has ever felt cold or forgotten, you're not alone here. Sometimes we all need a reminder that kindness still exists even in the cruelest storm. If your heart feels heavy, may this story bring you a little light. Now, let's begin. Snow kept falling. Emma took one uncertain step after another down the empty street, clutching the broken music box against her chest. Each step left a small print that filled instantly with snow. At the far end of the road, a black SUV slowed to a stop, its headlights cutting through the storm. Inside sat Dr. Nathan Cole, 41 CEO of Cole Biomed, a man whose life had been built on precision yet hollowed by loss. He'd lost his own daughter 5 years ago, and since then every winter night had felt the same, endless and cold. Until now. He opened the door and stepped into the storm, his shoes sinking deep. When he reached the trembling girl, he removed his coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. The music box still played between them, a broken lullaby under the howling wind. Nathan's voice was quiet, rough and final. "Not tonight. You're coming with me." The hospital lights hummed faintly pale against the storm that still raged outside. Dr. Nathan Cole sat by the small bed, watching the heart monitor pulse in green rhythm. The girl lay motionless under layers of blankets, her lashes dusted with frost. A nurse approached quietly. "We cleaned the cuts and checked for fractures," she said softly. "Mild hypothermia, head trauma from a fall. She's lucky you brought her in when you did." Nathan nodded, his gaze fixed on the little hand resting outside the blanket, tiny bruised, still clutching the music box. When he'd found her, she'd barely been breathing. For a moment, when he wrapped her in his coat, she'd whispered something he couldn't quite hear. Just 2 broken words, Mum's song. Now, sitting beside her, he turned the small music box gently in his palm. The cracked lid trembled open, playing a few hesitant notes that melted into silence. He swallowed hard. The melody was unfamiliar, but the ache it carried was not. 5 winters ago, he had held his own daughter's hand, the same way, watching the light fade as snow fell beyond the ambulance window. Every night since he'd told himself he couldn't save anyone else. Yet here he was again, waiting for a pulse to steady, for breath to return. Through the window, the snowfall thickened, blanketing the parking lot in white. It was as if the world itself had stopped to listen to that faint tune. Nathan spoke quietly, though the girl couldn't hear him. "You're going to wake up Emma, and when you do, you won't be alone." Across the hall, the TV flickered with late-night news. Words cut through the silence: local woman arrested in connection with illegal gambling ring. Nathan turned his head slightly. There on the screen was Linda Hayes, led away in handcuffs, shouting at reporters. He exhaled, part relief, part disgust. The nurse followed his gaze. "Is she family?" "Not mine," he replied, voice low. "Not anymore." He stayed through the night. At dawn, faint sunlight slipped through the blinds, touching the bed where the girl finally stirred. Her eyelids fluttered. "Where's Mum?" she whispered. Nathan froze. The question pierced through the quiet room like the crack of ice. He bent forward, choosing his words carefully. "She's not here right now, sweetheart. But you're safe. You're in a hospital. Do you remember your name?" She hesitated, then murmured, "Emma Grace Whitaker." Her voice trembled soft as snow landing on glass. Nathan smiled faintly. "That's a beautiful name." He reached out and pressed the music box into her hands. "It was still playing when I found you," he said. "Maybe it was calling for help." Emma looked down at it, her small fingers tracing the cracked snowflake lid. She said, "If I ever got scared, I should open it. Then she'd find me." Her eyes lifted to his, wide and uncertain. "Did you hear it?" Nathan's throat tightened. "I think I did," he whispered. "And I came." The monitor beeped steadily behind them. Outside, the storm had softened into quiet flakes drifting over the town. For the first time in 5 years, Nathan felt the cold ease from his chest just a little. Morning light spilled across the hospital corridor, soft and cold. Doctors moved quietly between rooms, their voices muffled beneath masks. Inside room 207, Emma Grace Whitaker sat upright for the first time, her legs still weak under the blanket. Beside her bed, Dr. Nathan Cole set down 2 cups of cocoa steam rising in faint curls. She looked at him with cautious eyes, the kind that had seen too much to trust easily. "Is Aunt Linda coming?" she asked, her voice brittle, almost rehearsed. Nathan hesitated. "No, Emma. She's gone for a while. The police have taken her." The girl lowered her gaze. "She'll be mad. She always gets mad when people take her things." Nathan's heart twisted. "Emma," he said softly, "you didn't do anything wrong." She said nothing, only twisted the edge of the blanket between her fingers. He tried a different tone, gentle but certain. "You know I used to have a daughter about your age." Her head lifted, curious. "Where is she now?" Nathan's lips parted, then closed. He looked toward the window where sunlight flickered off the snow. "She's somewhere safe," he said at last. "But I lost her, because I couldn't get there in time." Emma studied his face for a long moment, her eyes softening with something that almost looked like understanding. She reached for the cocoa with both hands, careful not to spill. "My mum said some people are born to fix others," she murmured. "Maybe you were supposed to fix me." Nathan froze. Those were the exact words his daughter had once said to him. "Maybe you're supposed to fix people, Daddy." He swallowed hard, then knelt beside her bed, so they were eye level. "Emma," he said quietly, "no one deserves what happened to you. And I can't change your past. But I can promise you this." He paused, choosing each word as if sealing a vow. "You'll never be left alone again. Not in the cold, not anywhere." Her lip trembled. "People say that, They always leave. Then I'll prove I won't, he said simply. The door opened. A social worker stepped in holding a clipboard. Dr. Cole. She greeted him with a polite nod. You've been listed as the emergency contact. Are you willing to take temporary custody until family placement is arranged? Nathan didn't look away from Emma. I'll take her, he said without hesitation. She needs somewhere warm to heal. The social worker blinked, surprised. That's highly irregular, sir. We'll need to file paperwork, background, then start it now. He interrupted gently. She's not staying here another night alone. Emma watched him sign the first page, her small fingers tightening around the music box. When he handed the pen back, the social worker smiled faintly. All right, Dr. Cole. She's under your care until further notice. Nathan turned to the girl, his expression calm but resolute. Ready to go home, kiddo? She hesitated, searching his face. Then she gave the smallest nod. The music box chimed once as she whispered, Okay, but only if you promise again. He smiled, eyes glistening. I promise. Outside, the snow had begun to melt water, running in silver streaks down the window pane. And somewhere deep inside him, a door, long sealed, began to open just enough for warmth to slip through. The snow outside the county jail had turned to grey slush, pooling under the iron gate. Inside, the fluorescent lights hummed above rows of metal benches, cold and merciless. Linda Hayes sat hunched forward in her orange jumpsuit, her hands restless, her jaw set tight. Across the table sat Mr. Ortega, her court-appointed lawyer, flipping through papers without much interest. Linda, he said dryly, you're facing multiple counts: child abuse, neglect, illegal gambling. You should start thinking about a plea deal. She scoffed. A plea deal? I didn't do anything. The kid fell. Everyone knows she's clumsy. Her eyes burned with venom. That man, what's his name? Dr. Cole. He's the one who ruined everything. He took her, didn't he? Ortega sighed, closing the folder. He saved her. The hospital said she'd have died in another hour. If you want to fight this, you'll need proof. Real proof. Linda leaned back, the corners of her mouth curling into something dark. Proof, she whispered. I can make proof. She turned toward the narrow window where snow still fell beyond the bars. I know people, she continued, voice low and sharp. Guys who owe me favors. They can talk to that reporter. The one who loves drama. What's his name? Victor something. Ortega stiffened. You mean Victor Lane? The tabloid guy? Linda's grin widened. Yeah, him. I'll tell him Dr. Cole's hiding something. A rich man with a tragic past adopting a random kid. He'll eat it up. The lawyer hesitated, torn between disgust and greed. If you start that kind of fire, it could backfire. Linda's tone turned icy. Then let it burn him too. She stood as the guard signaled the end of visiting hours. He took my meal ticket, my house, my money. But he won't keep her. That little brat will crawl back when he's done with her, just like everyone else. Her footsteps echoed down the corridor, sharp and rhythmic, like a warning. Later that night, across town, Nathan Cole parked his SUV outside his lakeside home. The headlights swept over the snow-dusted driveway, revealing footprints smaller than his own Emma's. She was sitting by the window watching the snow fall in silence, the faint melody of the music box filling the living room. When he stepped inside, she turned quickly, half afraid. I didn't touch anything, she said. Nathan smiled gently. You can touch whatever you want, Emma. This is your home now. She nodded uncertain and went back to staring out the window. Nathan followed her gaze. The world outside was calm for the first time in days, but something in his chest felt unsettled. He didn't know that only a few miles away a reporter's phone was already buzzing. On the screen flashed a message from an unknown number. You want a story, the millionaire doctor and his new girl. Not what it looks like. Call me. The wind howled across the lake, rattling the glass. Emma's music box clicked shut with a soft snap. Nathan looked up at the sound, and for just a second he thought he saw a shadow move past the window. Morning broke pale and heavy, the kind of winter light that never truly warms the world. Dr. Nathan Cole poured himself a cup of coffee, staring out at the frozen lake beyond his kitchen window. The house was quiet, too quiet. From the hallway came the faint melody of the music box. Emma had woken early again. She sat on the couch, still in his daughter's old sweater, humming softly with the tune. Nathan smiled faintly. You like that song, huh? Emma nodded, her eyes not leaving the window. It keeps me from hearing the other noises. What noises? He asked gently. She hesitated, then whispered, the ones that come when people get mad. Nathan's grip on his mug tightened. He crouched down beside her. You won't hear those here, okay? Not in this house. Her small shoulders eased just a little, but peace was fragile. The sound of Nathan's phone vibrating cut through the room. He glanced down. Headline alert, Millionaire doctor. Under fire, did he kidnap a child? The article showed a blurred photo him carrying Emma into the hospital that night. Below it, source claims child has no legal guardian, possible abduction case under investigation. Nathan froze. His heartbeat thundered in his ears as he scrolled further. The article quoted an anonymous family member claiming Emma's aunt had been framed by a wealthy man. The name at the bottom glared up like a scar, Victor Lane, the Daily Voice. He set the phone down slowly. Emma's gaze followed his movement. Did I do something wrong? He forced a calm smile. No, sweetheart. Not a thing. After she went back to playing, Nathan called his driver, an old friend Michael Hart. Find out everything you can about Victor Lane, he said. How he got those photos, who paid him. You think it's the aunt, Michael asked. I don't think, Nathan replied. I know. That afternoon the snow thickened again. Nathan drove into town, stopping by a quiet diner off Main Street. A woman in a wool coat was already waiting Nurse Janine, one of the ER staff from that night. She slid an envelope across the table. You didn't get this from me, she whispered. Inside were hospital logs showing that someone had accessed Emma's patient records 2 nights earlier without authorization. Name Ortega Luis, Linda's lawyer. Nathan's jaw tightened. She's not done, he muttered. Janine nodded. Be careful, doctor. They're trying to twist it into something ugly. He looked out the window, snow swirling like ash in the grey air. I've spent 5 years hiding from ghosts, he said quietly. Maybe it's time to stop hiding. That night back home, Emma sat by the fireplace with a sketch pad. She was drawing a small house covered in snow with a light glowing in every window. When Nathan passed behind her, she looked up shyly. It's us, she said, because you said the dark doesn't stay forever. He smiled, but his mind was already elsewhere, piecing together threads of a battle about to begin. Outside, the wind howled across the frozen lake again, and in the distance, far beyond the trees, the neon sign of the Daily Voice flickered to life like a snake waiting in the dark. By the next morning, Nathan's driveway looked like a battlefield, flashes of camera light bouncing off the snow microphones, pressing against the gate. Reporters shouted over each other, their voices muffled by scarves and breath clouds. Dr. Cole, is the girl with you now? Did you falsify adoption papers? Are you hiding her from social services? Nathan closed the curtain. His reflection on the window pane looked like a stranger, tired, grey-eyed, cornered. Behind him, Emma stood silently clutching her music box. "They're mad again," she whispered. He crouched down beside her, forcing calm into his voice. "They're just loud, not mad. They don't know the truth yet." "Will they take me?" she asked, her lower lip trembling. "Like they took my mum away." The words hit him like a knife. He reached out, brushing a tear from her cheek. "No one's taking you, Emma. Not while I'm breathing." Hours later, he sat in his study files, spread across the desk, hospital records, court petitions, financial audits from Linda's gambling debts. Michael Hart, his driver and friend, stood at the doorway. "You can't win this by playing clean." "Nate," he warned, "they're already painting you as the villain." Nathan's jaw set. "Then I'll show them who the real one is." He pulled out the envelope Nurse Janine had given him, tapping the corner where Ortega's name appeared. "This lawyer accessed a child's medical file. That's felony territory. Find me a reporter who still believes in truth, not clicks." Michael hesitated, then nodded. "There's one Grace Porter, Channel 7. She hates Lane's kind." "Call her," Nathan said. "I'll give her the story myself." That evening, while snow thickened outside again, Emma sat by the fireplace sketching two figures under a single umbrella. Her hand trembled each time the wind howled. Nathan came over quietly and knelt beside her. "You draw beautifully," he said. She gave a small smile. "It's easier than talking." He nodded, then said softly, "Emma, some people might say bad things about me on TV, about us, but the truth doesn't change, okay?" She blinked, confused. "What truth?" "That you're safe here," he said, "and that you didn't deserve what happened." She looked up at him, eyes bright and uncertain. "Promise again." He smiled faintly. "Always." The next day, Nathan walked straight into the Channel 7 newsroom coat, dusted with snow briefcase in hand. The staff fell silent as he laid folders on the desk in front of reporter Grace Porter. "Everything you need," he said. "Bank records, gambling logs, hospital access reports, all tied to Linda Hayes and her lawyer." Grace raised an eyebrow. "You're risking a lawsuit." "I'm risking a child," Nathan replied. "Big difference." Outside, the wind roared, rattling the glass. Back home, Emma sat watching the snow from her window when the power flickered once, twice, then went out. In the sudden dark, her small voice broke the silence. "Dr. Cole." Only the sound of the wind answered, then faintly somewhere outside the crunch of footsteps in the snow. Snow fell thick outside the county courthouse, muting the noise of reporters crowding the steps. Inside, the air was sharp with tension. Dr. Nathan Cole walked in quietly. Emma's small hand tucked in his. She clutched her cracked music box like a shield. Across the room sat Linda Hayes, her hair perfectly combed, her smile false. Her lawyer, Luis Ortega, rose first. "Your Honor, my client was wrongfully accused. This man used wealth and influence to take a child that wasn't his." Judge Frost lifted a brow. "And your evidence," Ortega smirked. "The hospital record shows no proof of abuse. Neighbors say the girl often ran away. Clearly, Dr. Cole exploited her." Gasps rippled through the room. Emma's fingers tightened on Nathan's sleeve. He leaned close. "Just breathe," he whispered. Then the courtroom door opened. Grace Porter, the reporter from Channel 7, entered carrying a flash drive. "Your Honor," she said. Channel 7 obtained footage from a store camera across Miss Hayes' house. It shows what really happened. The lights dimmed. On screen, Linda appeared shouting, pushing Emma into the snow, slamming the door. The faint sound of the girl's cry, "Aunt Linda, please," cut through the silence like a knife. When the lights came back, Linda's face was pale. Ortega shifted uncomfortably. Nathan stood slowly. His voice was steady but heavy. She was 9 years old, left in the snow to die. I didn't plan to find her. I just did, and I couldn't walk away. Emma looked up, her voice barely a whisper. "He didn't take me. He found me." For a long moment, the room was silent except for the hum of the lights. Judge Frost finally spoke. "Ms. Hayes, this court finds sufficient evidence of abuse and neglect. You are hereby remanded to custody." Her gaze softened toward Nathan. "Dr. Cole guardianship of Emma Grace Whitaker is granted until permanent adoption is finalized." The gavel fell with a single echoing strike. Outside, snow drifted under a silver sky. Reporters surrounded them, but no one shouted now. Emma pressed close to Nathan's side, whispering, "Is it over?" He smiled faintly, almost sweetheart. She opened her music box. The broken tune still played. "It's cracked," she murmured. "So are we," he said gently. "But we're still playing." The camera lights behind them blurred into a soft glow, and for the first time the snow didn't feel cold. The world outside the courthouse had turned to quiet white. No shouting, no cameras, just snow falling gently over the stone steps where Dr. Nathan Cole and Emma walked hand in hand. For the first time, she didn't flinch when someone called her name. Days later, the two returned to Nathan's lakeside home. The fire crackled softly and the smell of cocoa filled the air. Emma sat on the rug, her hair lit gold by the flames. In her lap lay the broken music box. Nathan set down his mug beside her. "Can I take a look?" She nodded. He picked up a small screwdriver and worked carefully, his fingers trembling with focus. For a moment, the world was only the sound of tools and fire. Then click. The lid closed and reopened, the tiny gears turning again. A clean melody rose clear and sweet like snow melting into spring. Emma's eyes widened. "You fixed it." Nathan smiled softly. "Guess I'm good at second chances." She leaned closer. "Mom said it plays better when someone listens." So he said, "I'll keep listening." Outside, the lake was frozen still, but morning light shimmered across its surface. Emma curled under a blanket, head resting on Nathan's arm. She whispered, "Does it ever stop hurting, the missing part?" He hesitated. "No," he said quietly, "but it hurts less when you let someone stay." She thought about that, then took his hand and placed it over her heart. "Then stay," she said simply. Nathan blinked hard, looking toward the fire. "I'm not going anywhere." That night, as the snow fell again, Emma placed her music box on the windowsill. Its melody floated through the house, soft and steady. Nathan turned off the lights one by one until only the small lamp by her bed remained. She curled up under the blanket, eyes half closed, the faint smile of a child who finally felt safe. Before leaving the room, Nathan whispered, "Sleep well, kiddo. No more dark." The light glowed against the frost on the glass, a single point of warmth in a world of white. And outside the wind carried the tune across the snow, a promise that healing had finally begun. A year passed. Winter came again, softer, this time less cruel, more familiar. The house by the lake was no longer silent. Laughter echoed through its halls, tangled with the sound of music boxes and pencils scratching on paper. Emma Grace Whitaker was 10, now taller, stronger, her cheeks pink from the cold. She ran through the snow chasing the golden retriever Nathan had adopted for her. The dog's name was Hope. Inside Dr. Nathan Cole pinned a new photo on the wall, Emma at the local art fair, smiling shyly beside her, painting a house glowing under falling snow. Below it hung a small brass plaque, Harbour Light Foundation for every child who deserves warmth. The organization had grown fast. What started as one man's promise had become a home for dozens of children escaping the cold, real or otherwise. Nathan never liked to call himself a savior. He just said, "I remember what it's like to lose someone you can't save." That evening, as dusk settled, Emma placed her repaired music box on the windowsill. It played softly while snowflakes drifted down outside, glowing under the porch light. She looked up at Nathan. "Do you think Mum can hear it?" He smiled. "If she can't, the whole sky's listening for her." Emma nodded, resting her head on his shoulder. The melody filled the room, wrapping around them like a gentle promise. Before turning off the light, Nathan whispered the same words he had spoken that first night. "Sleep well, kiddo." No more dark. The camera pulled back through the frosted window over the lake into the quiet snow. Only the soft light of the house remained a small, steady flame against the endless white. In the moment of hurt, like Emma, or in the quiet decision to rise again like Nathan. Have you ever witnessed an injustice exposed, or a kind hand reaching out at just the right time? If you had an Emma near you, what would you do today to ease her fear? Tell us your thoughts below, because sometimes a single line from you can be the light guiding someone who feels lost. And while we're here, how have you been lately? Did this story bring a lump to your throat at any point? If your day feels a little heavy, I hope this ending gave you a small touch of warmth, a reminder that you're not alone. Our channel will always be here to listen, so please leave a comment and share this video so that more hearts can hear stories like this one. Stories that heal, stories that remind us that at the end of every road, no matter how dark it gets, the light is always waiting.